In a very sad atmosphere, the famous Ichimori appears, known as Bashikabe, a girl with a weak personality. This is the reason her life is miserable, and life has been harsh on her. That's why we see her sitting alone on the ground in the street, filled with sadness, with no one caring about her condition. She doesn't like her situation, or her weak personality, and all she thinks about is wanting to change. But what she can't understand is whether she wants to change to prove her existence at school, or to get the attention of the boy who's causing a stir at school because of his extreme handsomeness. At the same time, a handsome boy with blonde hair appears, looking at her without saying a word. Who is this person, and what's the story exactly? Let's find out together, my friend. Days pass after this incident, and school starts. All the students go to school, settling into their routines and studies. Among these students is the same blonde-haired boy, who is our protagonist, Miura, the most handsome boy in school, with a very charismatic personality. He walks to school quietly, carrying his favourite lemon soda, which he's known for loving. His schoolmates greet him as they pass by, and he stops to chat with them for a bit. At the same time, our protagonist, Ichi, arrives at the same school. Miura notices her as she enters, standing with his friends and talking. Suddenly, a group of jealous students approaches Miura to provoke him, envious of his good looks and popularity. But Miura, with his charisma, doesn't engage with them. Instead, he calmly prepares the lemon soda in his hand, and in a moment of silence, he opens the bottle, causing it to explode in their faces. They quickly move out of the way, and the soda ends up splashing on someone else. Yes, it's our poor girl, Ichi, who was standing there unnoticed. Miura is shocked because he didn't mean for this to happen, and the other students are stunned as well. The two bullies take off, saying, "We have nothing to do with this." Ichi stands in silence, not knowing how to react. At this moment, Ichi's friend, Endo, runs to her and apologizes for what happened unintentionally. She asks their classmates if anyone has a towel or tissue to help the poor girl, but no one has anything. Ichi is in a completely different world, unable to believe that someone is actually talking to her, as this doesn't normally happen. Moreover, someone is concerned about her, which is almost impossible. All of this makes Miura feel something different, and he personally apologizes to her. Ichi, overwhelmed, says, "No need to apologize, it's fine," and quickly leaves out of embarrassment. She never imagined he would even look at her. Meanwhile, one of Miura's friends feels like he's seen Ichi before, and that her face isn't unfamiliar. Endo tells him that Ichi is in their class, and they're surprised because she seems different from the rest of their classmates, with her strange behavior. All of this catches Miura's attention as he stands silently, watching her from a distance. Ichi, on the other hand, decides to change her clothes, switching from her uniform to her gym clothes, as her other clothes are ruined. All she can think about at this moment is that she still doesn't have any good school memories, especially since her middle school classmates always bullied her, calling her the Rock because she never spoke and always stayed quiet. This, along with their mistreatment, affected her personality and self-confidence, making her see herself as they described her, a rock with no importance. But now, when she remembers Miura splashing soda on her, she forgets the sadness and the bullies. In fact, she even feels strangely happy. Who understands love anyway? She heads to her class, determined to have a lively and enjoyable high school life, unlike the previous stages. But so far, nothing like that has happened. She sits in her seat, looking at her gym clothes and laughing as she remembers Miura. Then the teacher enters the class, and everyone stands up. Ichi prays that the teacher won't comment on her gym clothes, but that's the first question he asks. Surprisingly, he asks Miura first why he's wearing gym clothes, then notices Ichi is wearing them too. She's about to explain, but Miura beats her to it, saying their clothes got stained with juice. Ichi is surprised because she thought he wasn't splashed with soda. At the end of the day, she leaves school, her mind filled with thoughts of Miura. They weren't in the same middle school, and he doesn't know her, but she knew him even before entering high school, because she had a crush on him during her last year of middle school. She remembers him by his blonde hair and his love for lemon soda. She arrives home after school, and her mum asks her about her day, telling her to bring her friends over because she knows Ichi is very introverted. Her dad, however, is worried and suggests she switch schools, but Ichi refuses, saying she likes her school. She then goes to her room, feeling like her parents are overprotective, which has made her a bit spoiled. She realizes she can't stay like this and decides that starting tomorrow, she'll be a new Ichi. The next day, she arrives early to class and tries to practice talking to her classmates. She says, "Good morning," loudly, but suddenly Miura appears in front of her, and she's so shocked she almost falls. Miura says, "Good morning" to her, and she's too embarrassed to respond. He notices her hesitation and teaches her how to say "good morning" properly. She repeats after him, and he smiles, but she's still too shy to believe he actually greeted her. The class starts, and the teacher asks Endo a question she doesn't know the answer to. He tells her to ask her friends for help. Ichi knows the answer but hesitates to help. Finally, she takes the step and gives Endo the answer, impressing the whole class with her intelligence. This is the first time anyone has ever praised her. After class, Endo thanks Ichi and introduces herself properly. One of Endo's friends calls her to leave, and Ichi, surprised, agrees to go with them. As they walk, a group of troublemakers from her old school sees her and calls her the Rock, mocking her for being slow and quiet. Ichi is hurt by their words and runs away, crying. Miura's group is surprised by the bullies' comments, as they know Ichi was accepted into a much better school and is known for her intelligence. It's strange that she chose their ordinary school instead. Meanwhile, Ichi is downstairs, standing alone, feeling like she's forgotten herself and thinking she's just a rock. She returns to the library and falls asleep on her notebook, writing that she needs to change. Suddenly, she wakes up to a voice telling her that she's always writing about wanting to change. The voice says that her anxiety about this is making it a burden for her. Ichi looks up and sees Miura, feeling completely helpless in front of him, unable to say even 2 words. She then discovers that the bullies have stolen her shoes and finds them in the trash. She feels like everything is and will always remain the same. But suddenly, Miura appears and tells her to take action, even if it means asking for help. Ichi smiles, wondering who she can ask for help, and runs away, remembering that she was supposed to be in the better school. During the entrance exam, the teachers saw her potential, but she wanted to change herself, not her environment. She was walking in the street in her fancy school uniform when the bullies harassed her, causing her to fall and cry. That's when she first saw Miura, who came to her with lemon soda and helped her, saying the uniform suited her and that he would wear it too. She was amazed by him because it was the first time she had met a boy, especially such a handsome one. She cried a bit after he left, then took the entrance exam for the prestigious school. However, her hands froze and she couldn't answer the questions, which is why she ended up at her current school. She remembers that day as the one that changed her life, and now she runs to the nearest fridge to get a lemon soda, hoping it will give her courage again. But the bullies don't leave her alone and demand she get them food. She grabs the lemon soda and sprays it in their faces. Miura and his group witness this, and one of the bullies pushes her, causing her to fall. Miura steps in to stop them and tells Ichi to ask for help, as they agreed, so he can defend her. But Ichi remains silent, unable to speak. Miura encourages her to repeat after him, and she finally asks for help while crying. Miura stops the bullies and threatens them if they bother her again. They run away, scared, and Ichi is left crying on the ground. Miura tells her to get up because she can't sit in the middle of the school or the road. Ichi realizes he still remembers the time he saw her sitting in the middle of the road, and he was everything to her. Since then, he's been the reason she wants to change. She gives him a thumbs up, and he smiles, telling her not to apologize. But when he looks at her, he sees her crying and laughing at the same time, which makes him laugh too. This moment breaks Ichi's curse, thanks to the lemon soda. The next day, she arrives at school and hears girls talking about how handsome Miura is and how they're all infatuated with him. Ichi remembers what happened the day before and tells herself she needs to stop doubting herself. As she enters the school, she sees Miura in front of her and smiles, saying, "Good morning again." But when he doesn't respond, she starts to doubt if what happened yesterday was rare. As she walks, she hears him say he didn't hear her properly, so she says, "Good morning," loudly, shocking everyone. Miura tells her she doesn't need to be that loud, and Endo also greets her. Ichi is surprised by her own behavior, as she had always wished to remain quiet until yesterday. But now, she doesn't know how to handle being social, and her social anxiety kicks in. She runs away like crazy. Later, during gym class, Ichi enters the gym, her body stiff like a rock. All she can think about is not being a burden to anyone, as they always told her. But she wishes she could play and have fun like the others. Miura is in the gym, playing and noticing Ichi's condition. He whispers something to Endo, who then throws the ball to Ichi, encouraging her to play. Ichi catches the ball and runs with it, surprising everyone because they thought she wasn't good at sports. She scores a point, and everyone is amazed. Ichi apologizes, thinking she did something wrong, but they're all impressed. Miura's friends ask if he knew she was this good, and he says he had a feeling, but didn't expect it. He then leaves the gym. Endo tells Ichi that Miura was the one who told her to throw the ball to her, and she was afraid Ichi would be upset. When Miura leaves, Ichi's father is seen talking to the principal, expressing concern about her introverted nature. Ichi returns to class, and Endo and the group ask her why she chose this school. Ichi says everything she wants is here, and everyone seems happy and free in a good way. They agree that the school is suitable for enjoyment without academic pressure. They then ask her what she wants to do at school, and she says she wants to walk freely on her way home, and maybe stay out until the moon rises. She even wants to sneak into the school at night. Miura, who's been listening from a distance, tells her to forget about those things because they're not suitable for her. Everyone is surprised by his reaction, and the girls who are infatuated with Miura call him over. Endo follows him, telling him he was harsh with Ichi and asking if he's in her class. Miura gets annoyed and tells her to mind her own business. Meanwhile, Ichi is alone in class, thinking about his words and realizing he's right. Suddenly, she hears a noise outside and looks out the window to see what's happening. At the same time, Miura's group hears someone saying they need to call the police. Miura thinks Ichi is alone in class and goes to check on her. On his way, he overhears someone on the phone talking about Ichi's location. He quickly runs away, and no one understands why. Ichi leaves the classroom, but hears someone looking for her. She hides under a desk, terrified, and not understanding why they're after her. Suddenly, one of them grabs her, and she calls for Miura's help. Miura arrives, pulls the guy away, and threatens them, saying if they bother her again, they'll regret it. The bullies run away, scared. Ichi catches her breath, and Miura tells her that her father would be worried if he saw her in this state. He says he'll handle the bullies since he caused the problem. As for her dreams, he says they're simple, and he'll help her achieve them. He tells her to listen to him and go straight home after school, because her father is worried about her. Ichi smiles, feeling cared for, and realizes she's in love with him. She initially doubted whether he loved her, but now she is sure and wants to change for him. She finishes school and walks out, thinking about how she was never social and never had friends. The idea of love never crossed her mind. While lost in thought, she bumps into a tree, then snaps out of it and says to herself that there's someone she likes now. The next day, she returns to class and notices that Miura is sleeping on his desk for the whole class until the teacher tells him to wake up and his classmates laugh at him. She wants to defend him but feels unsure because of her social anxiety. After class, she sees Ando wearing new earrings, and one of their group friends says they look nice. She wonders if the two of them like each other because they always seem to get along, and when she looks, Miura is staring at her. She wonders if there's a problem between them. She leaves and walks, and as she's thinking, she stops in front of a store window, wondering how the others see her now. Suddenly, she sees a group of students she was with in middle school approaching, calling her the Rock as they walk by, leaving her behind. Then, she realizes Miura wanted her to go home immediately to avoid hearing that hurtful talk. Suddenly, she looks up and sees Takamine, Miura's friend, and just as they were about to talk, she sees Miura, furious, yelling at her. He says, "I told you to go straight home when school ends, not to walk around like this." She's confused, not understanding exactly what he wants from her. Takamine laughs and says, "The kid wants to walk you home after school. Didn't you notice?" Miura intervenes quickly to stop his friend from saying more, adding, "Didn't we agree that I'd make your dreams come true?" She's surprised because she didn't know he was serious. Miura says, "Come on, let's walk quickly." She walks behind him, embarrassed, thinking, "I wonder if he's embarrassed to walk with someone like me." Miura notices her zoning out and says, "We'll have plenty of time for daydreaming, Miss Rock, won't we?" Takamine then asks if she has a certain time she needs to be home. Miura, now a bit annoyed, says to her, "We agreed I'd help you with your dreams, right?" She's confused but doesn't understand what he means yet. Takamine jokes that Miura's attention to her is rare and not something he usually does. He even questions if Miura's just having fun with her, but Miura insists that he's genuinely trying to help her. Takamine continues teasing her, saying that even if Miura is close to her, it's not bad because she's a kind girl. But to Miura, it's something more serious, even if he's being subtle. She understood that he cares about her because he admitted he's the one who escalated the bullying issue, but he'll take responsibility. Therefore, she believes he's only getting close to her to help her, and nothing more. Takamine then suggests they walk to her house, but she declines, asking if they're heading somewhere else. Takamine mentions they're going to see some friends, so she agrees to walk them to the entrance. Miura then asks for her exact address, and says he'll take her to the closest point near her home. As they walk, Miura asks her what she considers herself. She replies, "A rock," but Miura insists that she's a gem, not just a rock. He praises her for the steps she took to change her life. This makes her happy, as she realizes he sees her differently. Miura then encourages her, telling her she'll achieve her dreams without causing him any trouble. He gives her his cap and says, "Do what you want." He watches her leave and smiles. She feels ecstatic, thinking she's never going to meet someone like Miura again in her life. The next day, Miura talks to Takamine, saying that Ichi listens to him very carefully. Takamine notes that Ichi was lost and confused before, but Miura reached out to her and helped her, so now she's attached to him. Takamine is surprised that Miura, usually reserved, reached out to help Ichi. Miura says she's everything to Ichi now, and she's a nice girl, but not as nice as Miura seems to think. He mentions that he cares for Ichi a little more than he lets on, and he might be starting to have feelings for her. Ichi, reflecting on her feelings, believes she needs to trust herself more. One day, she hopes to confess to Miura that she likes him. When she returns to class, she sees Ando and wants to say something, but runs up to her and asks her to be friends. Ando is surprised, but laughs, saying they're already friends. Ichi feels embarrassed and unsure if it was the right thing to ask. Ichi then notices the seating arrangements and finds herself next to Takamine, while Miura sits beside her. She feels embarrassed, not knowing where to look. The teacher notices her nervousness and asks if she wants to change her seat. Ichi hesitates, unsure. Miura says it's fine where she is. Then, a classmate calls out Miura, asking if there's something between him and Ichi, causing Ichi to panic. Miura quickly denies anything between them. Ichi wonders what Miura's type is, especially when she hears others comment that she's not his type. She feels insecure about not knowing enough about him. But then, during the school trip, she wonders why she's so nervous and starts noticing how Miura is looking at her. She wishes she could talk to him, but is afraid he won't respond. Miura takes Ichi aside to avoid others overhearing, and they walk away. Ichi feels like she's falling more in love with him. On the trip, the other students talk about a place where, if you go with someone you love, Your wishes will come true. Ichi thinks about how Miura might feel, but she's too shy to speak up.